Go ahead.
Great, thanks.
You're recording, Paul. You can start.
Okay, great. Just like to say good afternoon and welcome to the August 16th Reinvestment / Workforce Committee meeting. The time is now 2:04. And I'd like to call the meeting and start by calling attendance. So let's start off Corey Betts.
Present.
Thank you. Andrea Comer. Avery Gaddis.
Here.
Sabera Gordon. Andrea Hawkins.
Present.
Michael Jefferson.
Here.
Ojala Naeem.
Present.
Paul Robertson present. Kelly Marie Valeris.
Present.
Thank you. Kevin Walton. Thank you. So I'm Paul Robertson, Chair of the Social Equity Council, and the reason I'm opening this meeting is because the Council has consolidated its committees with the intention of streamlining and increasing resources for the focus work of the Council. My role this afternoon is to call the nomination and the vote for this committee's chair. And at this time, I'd like to see or ask, do I have any nominations for chair of the Reinvestment / Workforce Committee? Please note that the members of the committee may also self-nominate. Are there any nominations?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yes, please. Councilman
Mr.
No,
Chairman,
I'm good. I'll wait.
I think Ojala Naeem has done an exceptional job, and I'm not going to be long-winded about it. Her work product speaks for itself. I am very comfortable and happy to have her as the chair of the newly reconstituted Reinvestment Workforce Committee. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that feels the same way. So I nominate Ojala Naeem to serve as chairperson of this committee.
Great, thank you. Are there any other nominations?
I have a question.
Yes, Mr. Chair. I'm sorry.
Yes. Please continue, Councilman Jefferson.
Is this committee, will this committee have co-chairs or just one chair?
Just one chair.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilman Jefferson. Was there another comment?
Yes, there's another nomination. I nominate Michael Jefferson if he accepts to chair this committee. And not to take anything away from Ojala. However, I just feel as though when it comes to the issues that are dear and near to my heart, I just believe that Mr. Jefferson has somewhat of a relatable spill to what goes on within our community. So.
Great. Thank you, Councilman Betts. Are there any other nominations? Okay, with that said, Councilwoman Ojala Naeem and Jeff, do you both accept the nomination?
I accept.
We call for a vote? Okay, Councilman Jefferson. Great.
I accept.
So by a show of hands, by roll call, let's start with the nomination. All in favor, or any discussion before this? Let's go for all in favor vote for Councilwoman Naeem. If I can see by a show of hands, that would be helpful. And if we could do it by roll call, that would also help. By a show of hands, I'm seeing Councilman Gaddis, Hawkins, Valeris. Let's see. Should I go through? Let me do it by roll call. It's easier to do this because on the screen I can't quite see it. So apologies for that. Just let me confirm. So I have Avery Gaddis, Andrea Hawkins, Kelly Valeris, Ojala Naeem.
I believe I should abstain since I am up for nomination.
Oh. Okay, so that's free. All right, so let's go through the process here, which is, so I'm looking at 3 votes. And I believe that I would abstain as well. Or I guess I could vote, correct? Yeah, all right, so that would be,
Yes, you could vote, Mr. Chair, as a member of the investment committee.
okay, well, that's what I'm saying. All right, so I have, all right, are there any opposed?
So,
Mr.
Mr. Chair,
Chairman,
Mr. Chair, what's your vote, Mr. Chair?
My vote currently is I have 4 for Ojala Naeem. Should I go on to the next?
Mr. Chair, how are you voting yourself?
I am voting yes for Ojala Naeem, correct.
If you vote,
Mr.
if you're voting for Ojala, then that decides it based on the
That-
number of committee members.
Well, it's only 4 votes. What do we have for a tally here? I'm just counting.
Mr.
2.
Chairman, only committee members can vote. Is that correct?
I believe so.
That's
Oh,
correct
committee.
under Robert's rules. And also, Mr. Chairman, as a point of clarification, Ojala can vote for herself because that's the reason why individuals can nominate themselves. So she, in this particular situation, she is allowed to vote for herself.
Okay. So then I would have the count as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that would be the majority.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, just for point of order, it might just be
Yes.
best to go through, call people and let them say who they're voting for and just
Okay.
tally it together
Thanks.
to avoid any confusion.
Okay. Corey Betts,
Michael Jefferson.
Andrea Comer's out, Avery Gaddis,
Ojala Naeem.
Sabira Gordon out, Andrea Hawkins,
Ojala Naeem.
Michael Jefferson. Are you voting for yourself?
I vote for myself.
Thank you. Ojala Naeem,
I will vote for myself.
Paul Robertson, Ojala Naeem, Kelly Valeres,
Ojala Naeem.
Ojala Naeem, and Kevin Walton. Not present. Okay, by my count, I'm looking at 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm looking for 5 votes for Ojala Naeem and 2 votes for Michael Jefferson. So with that, it looks like it is unanimous. Congratulations, Chairwoman Naeem. And I will now turn the meeting over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Councilman Gaddis, for the nomination and everyone for your support. Looking forward to continuing the work together. Was not ready to run the rest of this session, but let me just quickly open this up. So next item on the agenda is to vote to confirm meeting dates and times. And the Reinvestment Workforce Committee meets on the 3rd Wednesday of each month at 2 p.m. I guess I can start with a motion to confirm the meeting date and time, 3rd Wednesday of every month at 2 p.m. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Does that not work for anyone or any major hurdles on the committee? If no further discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Okay, so we will continue, and I believe the executive director has
Ojala?
sent. Yes,
I'm gonna abstain from the time.
okay.
Okay.
I believe the executive director has sent out the invites for future meetings as well, so they should already be on your calendars. And again, 3rd Wednesday of each month at 2 p.m. Excellent. Next item on the agenda, we have a hiring update on the program manager and the cannabis workforce coordinator. So I will turn it over to the executive director.
Afternoon to you, Madam Chair. Congratulations and welcome all of the new folks to this brand new committee. Look forward to working with all of you. Just a very quick update. So I just wanted the committee to know that we have made an offer to a program manager who will focus and be the liaison to this committee and moving the reinvestment work of the council forward. I don't have that name yet. That person has not accepted, but we did complete the interviews. We have 2 top candidates and made an offer to the first. On the Office of Workforce Strategy, Cannabis Workforce Coordinator, those in member Valerie, if you want to add anything, but we are in the process of interviewing after a long selection process of candidates. We have some finalists and we will begin those interviews next week and hope that that person will join us. And that person will also interact with this committee, as will our outreach program manager for the Social Equity Council will also interact with this committee as well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Ginny Ray. I don't have anything to add. We're looking forward to having them on board.
Excellent. For just a point of clarification, could you share a little bit more, either the executive director or Councilwoman Ramirez, on what we hope the cannabis workforce coordinator will be able to focus in on more?
Yeah, so I think one of the first priorities will be the workforce development plans that have been reviewed and accepted. But we have not really been able to dive into all of those in detail, do some analysis of what the demands are or the needs are of those businesses, and then start working with them to put those plans into place.
Got it. Thank you for that clarification. Any questions on the 2 hiring updates? Pretty straightforward. Awesome. All right. Moving on, next item on the agenda, the reinvestment workforce plan discussion. And since I have just been nominated as chair, I've not had the chance to have a conversation with Director Clay or with Chairman Robertson on what the goal behind that agenda item was. So I'll let you step in and talk us through it.
I can go ahead and just start the conversation. So I just wanted to have this on the agenda. So if there was any questions about the workforce and the reinvestment plan, you all know that we established a pilot program this year, which is in full effect. Folks are applying for the $6 million that we have put out on into the communities before the end of the last fiscal year. And we are going to be receiving those recommendations hopefully very soon, at least some of them. And then I wanted to kind of get, if anybody had any thoughts, or to kind of get you thinking about your contributions, the committee's contribution to the workforce, to the reinvestment plan, what your thoughts are behind what you know from your communities and the folks that you represent. If you would share some of that information with us so that we can move some of that information into the development of a reinvestment plan that will also be developed through the community conversations. So we're still gathering information. I believe the monies that we're looking to spend is about $20 million from the special funds that we received through applications and conversion fees. That money is sitting and waiting for us. I think it will become available. Christina Diamond might be able to help me with the exact timeframe of when it's available, but I believe July of 2024, those funds will be available to us. If I have that correct, Christina, you can help me with that.
Yes, that is correct, in July.
So I'm hoping that my plan and goal is that our reinvestment plan is completed by May of 2024. And that will give us another opportunity also to go into those secondary communities that still have the high effects of the war on drugs, and any new communities that have higher numbers, they get into those communities.
Thank you. And Councilman Jefferson, I see your hand up. Just one clarifying question before I turn it over to you. What is the expected date right now for us to get the feedback back from the outreach conversations that have been happening?
First round is no later than December.
No later than December. Okay.
Correct.
When do we expect all of it to be complete?
Well, we have not gone to the second, and that's what we'll have to discuss, is what will be the second round of conversations to go for. And it will be our new reinvestment person who will take care of those. So if you
And
guys have,
what is causing the delay? I mean, December feels like we're just kicking the can down the road even further than what we had initially hoped for. And quite frankly, it's going to be hard for us to start coming up and working on a reinvestment and reinvestment and workforce development plan as a committee without having those inputs available to us.
well, part of the delay is we are going into the fall. And maybe I'll have Christina speak, because she's actually working a little bit more closely with those folks doing the community conversations. But now we are just entering into a contract with them. We didn't have a contract before. And so now some of them, the New Haven conversation is being created. And the New Haven conversation is being updated, and the Waterbury conversation timeline is being updated. I think we probably do have the ability to go back and ask them to shorten the time frame. So if you guys have some recommendations on that, please let us know what they are, and we'll address that with the trusted messages.
Thank you. I'll turn it over to Councilman Jefferson first and then
Thank
follow
you.
up on that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a couple of issues. The chair raised one of the questions that I was about to ask on the outreach and the status of the outreach. I think is a very good question. And now I have the answer, which is somewhat disappointing to hear. Nonetheless, I guess we have to roll with it. But I'm still a couple of things on workforce. I'm not clear about what we're doing with workforce. I mean, we've been working with workforce for the last couple of years. I don't even know where we're at with workforce. The regional workforce councils are out of the picture because of the federal government regulations. I get that. But who's doing our job training? Who are we relying on for job training? Do we have an adequate workforce development plan? I'm not putting that on you, Madam ED, but I'm just perplexed. I don't know where we're at with that. Maybe Councilwoman Valoris could
Yeah.
share what she knows.
Yeah, I'm happy to share what I know. The workforce development work did not move forward because the only person on my team that could work on this was myself, because all of my staff was braided funding with federal funds until we got our budget expansion in July. So I have a few additional people now that are on state funding streams that can start to work on this, but really the workforce coordinator needs to come on board. Our team is 4 people, and this is a very, very big lift with a team of 4 people. It took, we have 400 applications to go through to screen through to get the cannabis person on board. And it also took quite a long time to get approval for this person to even be hired through OPM and the office of the governor. So there's a lot of background work, and I share the same frustration as you do, Councilman Jefferson. And that's why we're really looking forward to getting this person on board quickly. Ginny Ray and I had a few discussions around the opportunity of maybe just hiring Oaksterdam to do some initial training as we're developing programming.
Well, thank you for that update. That helps clarify some things. So when will this person come on board? Do you have any idea?
We do the interview process next week. I think over the next 2 weeks, because there's 7 or 9, I can't remember how many people that are being interviewed. And then there's a whole back and forth with the Department of Administrative Services. So I would say at least a month to 6 weeks before we probably have somebody on board.
Thank you for that update, Councilwoman Valoris. And my second question through you, Madam Chair, and maybe Christina or Jenny Ray could answer this. I know there was supposed to, prior to the legislative session, and help me with this, the name of these funds: Social Equity Innovation Fund, and then there's the Social equity account. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so the money stayed in the account, the 25 million. Am I correct, Christina? It wasn't transferred to the fund. It was supposed to be, but the legislature changed it so that it stays in the fund, right? I mean, in the account.
Right, it's in the account, and the new legislation that was passed, it would transfer the money to the innovation fund at the end of the next fiscal year. So
Right.
the
So,
end,
so my concern is the 25 million that we have is for the use by the Social Equity Council exclusively. Am I correct?
correct.
Okay. So we can use that money. So here's that raises several concerns. One is we have to get that money to the communities. So we have to have the reinvestment plan. We have to have the workforce development plan, because we have a ton of money and we can lose that money, because if the money goes to the fund, then we lose control over those resources. Because right now it's sitting there and it's under our control. That's what the legislation states, that it's for the sole and I don't know the exact language, but it's for the express purposes of the Social Equity Council to use as we see fit.
Right now, the money is in the social equity and innovation account. And then at the end of the fiscal year, which would be June 30th, 2024, all the remaining money after they pay out all the other agencies and everything that work on the cannabis money, all of the rest of that money would be transferred to the Social Equity and Innovation Fund. And that fund, yep.
I understand that, Christina, but I'm talking about the $25 million that's for our sole discretionary use. Why would we wait for that money to be transferred when it should have been transferred at the end of this fiscal year? It was delayed for the purpose of us utilizing that money for community reinvestment. So why would we sit around waiting until the end of the next fiscal year and lose that money? That makes absolutely no sense. So this is a time-sensitive matter. And if outreach is waiting, if we're going to wait until December, then I really have concerns, because as the chair knows, we're not going to be moving on this until May, and then we're going to run into problems with accessing that money, that 25 million. That's
Thank
just
you.
my frustration. I just think we have to expedite some things here, Madam Chair, and thank you for indulging me. I'm good.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm right in line with you. One point of clarification from the executive director. So you mentioned $20 million will be available July 1, 2024. Is that separate from what the 25 million that Councilman Jefferson is referring to?
It is that money that he's referring to.
So is it not already available to us?
I was under, and I will get clarification on this, but I was under the impression it's not available to us until July 1st.
So when?
Till July 1st of 2024. And I'll get clarification and I'll send an email out.
So it sounds like there's still confusion between the money in the account versus the money in the fund, and what we have authorization over to use, and who else has authorization over what is in the account. So between now and actually in the next week, I request that you and your office send this committee, probably the full council, again, a clear breakdown of the difference between the account and the fund, and who has access to those funds in both of those situations, and what the use cases permitted are for. And then 2, clarity on, is it 20 or $25 million? 1, 2, do we have authorization to spend that for reinvestment purposes now? Or do we need to, for some reason, wait until it hits the fund and then spend it? I'm confused on that point too. So I think we need clarity on those things as soon as possible.
Look into that.
And then the second piece following up from that is I agree with Councilman Jefferson's sentiments on December is too late. When we started the conversation back in March to get outreach conversations up and running, we had wanted them by July. We are now in August and they haven't even started yet. So tell us what you need from us to help push this and expedite it, but I would like to see a report out from all of the conversations by October. I want to put that pressure on the folks that we are working with. I know we have some experts here. Andrea Hawkins is just on the council. I know I've worked with her before. She has done similar types of conversations and outreach. I don't doubt that it should be possible. If the contract is signed and we are telling them to turn around, run the sessions and turn around an analysis in 2 months, that should be possible, especially if we are investing the funding that we are. So, early to mid-October at the latest, because we need time to figure out what we're going to do. If we don't get that report till December, half the council is going to be on vacation and the holidays, and then we're not going to get started on this till February, and we cannot risk waiting that long.
I'm just going to ask that we push it to the end of October because we are going into September. So
I'm going to push for early October. Let's see what they come back with, because we push to end of October. That means we meet on it in November. And, the third Wednesday, I'm pretty sure is going to fall Thanksgiving week. So we're going to have to readjust anyway.
okay.
Councilman Gaddis?
Yes, to piggyback off of what all the speakers said, I'm also interested in the timelines. Every time we get on these calls, 1 minute we're confident in the timelines, the next minute we're a little not confident in the timelines. And I'm actually more concerned today than I was. I wasn't really concerned prior to this meeting, but it seems to me we don't have a firm handle on the accounts, who's in control, the timeline, what we're doing. And to Councilman Jefferson's point, we really need to button that up. All right. That's just my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Gaddis. Councilwoman Hawkins?
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I just have a really, I'm not even sure who I'm directing this question to. So I feel like there's a huge connection between the work that's happening, some of these decisions, to the outreach committee. And I'm wondering if it's worthwhile to allocate some time on this agenda for a direct update from that committee to this committee, just to make sure that everything remains in sync. I'm worried about, I was on that outreach committee meeting late last week, and there was talk of the need for a strategic plan to help drive some of their marketing efforts. I would imagine that strategic plan also needs to contemplate and include ideas about reinvestment and other things that are happening across the social equity council. So I just want to kind of put that out there just to make sure that whatever does happen, we all kind of remain in sync across the committee. So just want to offer that as a possible suggestion for going forward.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I think that's a great idea, since there is going to be a lot of connectivity needed there. So Executive Director Clay, and I think Christina has been helping, as well as Attorney Matrevi, with the agenda for these meetings. So until we get our reinvestment program manager, can you please make sure to have a standing line item on the agenda for updates from outreach, probably closer to the start of the meeting, so that we can then incorporate it into the rest of the work. So I just want to kind of clarify the things that we're requesting from the executive director, and kind of put a little bit of a timeline on it, right? So first thing is, clarity on funds. What are the two accounts / funds, and what money are we working with? Is there a balance sheet we can take a look at or understand? If we can get that by, is next Wednesday reasonable? Give a week. Okay. The second item, which I'm hearing, is I would like to see from the staff a timeline, proposed timeline for the work around reinvestment and workforce development. I think that those timelines should not be treated as separate, but they should be connected in together. Obviously, the review of the workforce development plans that the new staff person will be doing will help impact some of the funding decisions we might need to make. So I think, between now and maybe 2 weeks out, before the end of the month, definitely before the next council meeting, I would like to see a timeline of key activities and milestones for reinvestment and workforce development. So that's everything from, when we need to start planning, when we're gonna, hopefully get feedback back from the outreach conversations, when we will be able to start, needing to get together in a working session as a committee to think about how we want to tackle the funding. I'd like to see a proposal that we can react to, because I think we could kind of spin in circles right now as a committee without that clarity talking about it. I think that timeline will help ground us, and then we can kind of pick from that. Hey, these are the things we need to focus on next month. We need to start thinking about how we want to approach the reinvestment conversations and whatnot. So I'd like to request that, for 2 weeks out before the end of the month. And if there's anything anyone else from the committee would like to add, please feel free to step in.
I think you summed it up nicely, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I'd concur.
Okay. And along those lines, as we think about the goal for this committee, which is again around making sure that we are being strategic at a higher level about the disbursements of funding for reinvestment and workforce development, are there other things we feel like we need to have beyond the, hearing the voice of the people that are most impacted, as well as the timeline, to be able to start thinking about a more strategic approach for this in 2024?
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes.
I just don't think we should overthink it. I think we should sit back, wait, and see what we receive from outreach. I think that's very important. Give them an opportunity to do their due diligence and then fill in those gaps. I don't think it's important for us to overthink it. I think you, myself, all of us on this committee have been around. We have an idea what the needs of the community are, but we have made it clear to the community that we want to hear from the community. And that's the purpose of outreach, to do just that. And then we can fill in the gaps. So without belaboring it, that's where I'm at. We have a lot of stuff on our plate. I think you summed it up very nicely. We need to, as Councilman Gaddis stated, we need the timelines. We need to know what's going on with these accounts. I think our plate is full moving forward.
Thank you, Councilman Jefferson. Okay, so I think that's a good amount. So the three asks again: clarity on funds, timeline, 2 weeks out. So next week, clarity on funds, 2 weeks out, timeline, and then please let us know once you have the conversations with the outreach organizations, confirmation on they will deliver by first week of October. I think it's fair to put some pressure on and say, we need this. What do you need to make it work from us? And if there are issues that you're running into in terms of approvals or contracts, or we need to expedite things on our end or through some of our government partners, let us know so that we can step in and help where possible. Excellent. Any further discussion around reinvestment workforce plan? Okay, and item 7 on the agenda for the good of the order.
Madam Chairwoman, I just want to say, because I don't want it to be glossed over, I think it's important that Councilman Jefferson and I'm going to say Councilman Betts serve as the spirit and conscience of this committee. Sometimes people like myself, we get lost in the business of it. We get lost in the objectivity of it. And sometimes I'm a little bit insensitive, I'm not looking to be the spirit or the nuclear engine. I'm more like the Shug Knight of the committee, the Shug Knight of the committee. But I certainly appreciate everyone's leadership. I'm happy to serve with you all. I'm looking forward to it. But Mike, thanks for always being our conscience and our compass, brother. Thank you.
Thank you, good brother, for those kind words. And congratulations, Madam Chair, on your election.
Thank you both.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
And I would
Thank
say,
you, Mr.
I'm sorry. Now, I was
I
just
was
saying, I
saying
think
thank you for the
Councilman
question.
Gaddis said it best. I echo your
Yeah.
same sentiments and truly appreciate the efforts of everyone on this committee. We all bring something very unique, but at the end of the day, I think we're going to pull this thing to the finish line.
Thank you. I think I saw another hand flash up, but maybe I missed it. Anyone else have anything for the good of the order? Okay, well, thank you all. I'm looking forward to continuing this work with you all, and I guess motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So move.
Second.
Second quarter.
I think
Thanks,
everyone's in
everyone.
favor. Thank
Bye.
you all. Have a wonderful
Thanks
day.
again.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.